Hi, everyone. Glad you could join our athletics webinar. My name is Matt Anthony, and I'm the Assistant Athletics Director for Compliance here at PACE. Joining me are our head women's lacrosse coach, Trisha Molfetta, and two of our student athletes, Chloe Mayhew and Josh Lozano, who will introduce themselves in a moment. During this webinar, we're going to give an overview of what the athletics department has to offer and how you can use athletics to stay involved on campus, even if you aren't going to be a student athlete here at PACE. Coach Malfetta is also going to give an overview of and best practices on the recruiting process. And Chloe and Josh will answer some of our most frequently asked questions to give you some insight into what being a student athlete is like here at PACE.
Hi, everyone. My name is Trish Malfetta. I am the head women's lacrosse coach. I'm going into my fourth spring this 2021 year. And, I played lacrosse in high school and I played lacrosse in college. So, I'm familiar with the recruiting process and just the admissions process as well. So I'm excited to be here with you guys and kind of give you a little bit of insight, especially during these times right now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chloe. I am a member of the field hockey team at PACE. I am a junior, and my major is global studies with a concentration in political science.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh. I'm part of the PACE swim and diving team here. I'm a senior and I'm majoring in computer science.
Okay, perfect. So first, I'm going to start with an overview of just everything the athletic department has to offer. Not just our varsity sport offerings, but our intramurals and campus recreation as well. So again, we do have obviously varsity sport offerings, but we also oversee club sports, intramurals, and then some campus recreation activities, which I'm going to get into right now. So first, just a quick overview. We are part of the National Collegiate Athletic Association, also known as the NCAA. We are a Division II member institution. We are also part of the Northeast 10 Conference, which is comprised of 14 member institutions located across the Northeast. We have 14 NCAA sponsored sports. That just means there's an NCAA championship associated with those sports. We have 6 on the men's side. They are football, cross country, basketball, swimming and diving, lacrosse, and baseball. We have 8 on the women's side: soccer, cross country, basketball, swimming, diving, lacrosse, softball, field hockey, and volleyball. We also oversee our spirit squad, which is comprised of our cheerleading, dance, and pep band. These 3 sports are not NCAA sponsored just because there's not an NCAA championship associated with those sports. But we do oversee all 3 teams. So any member of those teams are considered student athletes here at PACE and receive all the same perks that our NCAA sponsored sports student athletes get as well. And all 3 of those teams are co-ed. At the bottom there is our website, www.paceuathletics.com. Everything I'm about to go over is on this website. It's our central hub of all of our information. So you can find schedules, stats, bios, press releases, intramural information, recreation information, staff directory, really anything pertaining to athletics you could find on that website. I get a lot of questions about tryouts. We don't have a department-wide tryout policy. We kind of leave it up to each coach because each coach is usually at different places with their rosters. So the thing that we suggest is if you are looking to see if there is a tryout opportunity for a particular sport, you go on paceuathletics.com, go under the athletic department tab. There's a staff directory with all of our contact information. Navigate to the respective sport that you're looking for. And then you can shoot a quick email to that head coach to see if there is a tryout opportunity, and they should get back to you in a timely fashion. We do sponsor 2 club sports. They are men's soccer and co-ed golf. These are in partnership with the Office of Student Development and Campus Activities, also known as SDCA. As you get to know PACE more, you'll see there's a lot of different acronyms for different things. But these are student-led organizations. They do have advisors, and both the SDCA office and athletics help out with the administration of both of those sports. But club sports are kind of in between varsity sports and intramurals, which I'm going to get into in a little bit as far as time commitment goes. They're not as time intensive as varsity sports, but they are a little more time intensive than intramurals. These two club sports haven't met in person since March, but obviously as we move forward, as we kind of work our way into more normal operations, they usually practice a couple times a week. And then men's soccer, for example, will play games against other club teams from other schools and universities in the local surrounding area. So schools such as Hofstra, Iona, Quinnipiac, really schools that that are easy to get to, but they'll play those club teams from those other schools. The golf team will usually attend various golf tournaments throughout the year. And as we move forward, if there's enough interest, we are open to adding more club teams in the future. Intramurals is a great way to say you play a sport in high school, but you don't necessarily have an interest in playing at the varsity level or even the club sport level if we sponsor it as a club sport. Intramurals is a great way to still play that sport and scratch that competitive itch, so to speak. It's also very laid back, really easy. You just you get a group of friends together, you sign up as a team through our online sign up, a schedule gets sent to you, and then you just play those games on their schedule. And games are usually at night after classes have ended, so they usually they start at 9:30. Unfortunately we haven't been able to have in-person intramurals since March, but this has given us the opportunity to look at esports, and we have been able to offer some intramural esports programming. So we'll have 1 to 2 day tournaments in video games such as like Madden, NBA 2K, FIFA, MLB The Show. I think this week we just had a Fortnite tournament. So again, this is relatively new, but we're looking to expand our intramural esports as well. And even as we move, with the positive vaccine news, as we move into by next fall, moving into more of our normal operation with in-person intramurals, we're also going to continue to offer these esport opportunities as well. As we move into our more normal in-person intramural operation, usually we'll start off outdoors. We'll have football, ultimate frisbee, kickball, wiffle ball, and soccer. And then when the weather starts getting colder, we'll move back indoors where we'll have basketball, volleyball, indoor soccer, indoor flag football, badminton, and we've had dodgeball in the past if there's enough interest. And then the cycle repeats itself for when the weather gets warmer in the spring, we'll move back outside. But we tell the students all the time, intramurals is for them. So it's for you all as prospective students as well. So say we didn't offer a kickball league, if there was enough interest, if there was a group of a big enough group of students where they showed enough interest where they wanted us to offer a kickball league, we'd look at it and make sure we could fit it within our budget. And like I said, do our best to make that happen for the students. And the last thing I'm going to go over is the Goldstein Fitness Center. That is where our weight room, pool, indoor track, and basketball and volleyball courts are located. As a student, you have full access as long as the building is open. Unfortunately, we were not able to open the fitness center this semester, but once we are allowed to, we will follow all local, state, and federal guidelines as far as our reopening protocols, and they will be in line with commercial fitness centers as well. And again, as we move into more of our normal operation, again, as long as the building's open, you'll have full access as a student. The basketball, volleyball courts as well, if they aren't being used by any of our teams or through a campus event, you and a couple friends are more than welcome to play pickup on the courts. Again, just as long as the courts aren't being used, you can use them. Same with the pool. We have what's called open swim hours. Those are posted on our website as they vary depending on the day. So as long as it falls within those open swim hours, you can also use the pool to swim recreationally if you do swim recreationally. And now I'm going to hand it over to Coach Malfetta. She's going to give an overview of the recruiting process.
Thanks, Matt. So I really only have, 2 slides, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the recruiting process and, tips, especially for things going on right now with COVID and the challenges that we've kind of had to deal with as a result of that. So I've made a couple slides, just this one mostly for those that play sports in high school and who are wanting to continue their athletic careers and play sports or, cheer, or continue in intramurals at Pace. So I'm going to speak to non-COVID times first, since it is still relevant, and hopefully we can get back to recruiting in that kind of environment soon. So during non-COVID times, coaches were normally on the road recruiting, going to high school games, summer tournaments, club games, and meets, just trying to see as many athletes as we can in person. So we'll communicate with you using a combination of emails, calls, text messages to let you know that we're interested, and to tell you and kind of communicate about the next steps in the process, which usually involve getting you on campus in some sort of capacity, in an official visit or things like that. But since a lot of these things aren't possible right now, just due to the COVID restrictions with on-campus visitors and things like that, I'm going to tell you a little bit more and focus a little bit more about what we've been doing the last few months, just to continue the recruiting process and streamline it as best as we can. So during the last few months, I'm sure as it's been for you, it's been challenging as we've really had to be creative in continuing the recruiting process with as many prospective student athletes as we're looking to recruit. We potentially haven't seen them in person, right? Haven't met them in person. But from our perspective, and for me personally, we've really had to rely on film to watch prospective student athletes evaluate and determine whether or not you'd be a right fit for our program. So it's been super challenging, but it's been really rewarding in many ways as we've had to comb through game film to watch prospective student athletes, and we've used highlight film to watch you do what you do best. So we've spent more time getting to know prospective student athletes using different communication platforms such as Zoom, FaceTime, Google Meet, and being more interactive on social media. I've also used, YouTube videos from the Welcome Center to show campus tours to recruits and kind of give them a feel for what our campus looks like. There's a great one that we've used from the Welcome Center before. I've also used videos that we've had just of our athletics facilities to text and send prospective student athletes as well. So all of these things we've never had to do before. So in that respect, we've had to be more creative in how we talk to future setters. And so, with that being said, I kind of wanted to leave you with a few tips during with everything going on right now and things that you can really control for your own recruiting process at Pace. So the first one is to be an advocate for yourself. If you're interested in a program, in an athletic program, reach out to that coach. That would be the first step. Introduce yourself, include your name, include your high school, and include your high school GPA, your transcript if it's available, and any other information that's specific to your sport, like your position, if you're a runner or something like that, times, so that something is relative in the email, so that we can understand, where you're at a little bit better with your sport. And be consistent with your communication methods. Don't reach out once and then just write us off if you don't hear back. Sometimes emails go into spam folders. Be persistent in your communication and showing your interest. That means a lot. The second thing I would say, if you have film, include it in that initial email. And if you don't, be creative. I can't tell you how many times I've seen throughout the summer, because there were no, and I can speak specifically to lacrosse, there were no lacrosse tournaments pretty much for the majority of the summer. So, a lot of the suggestions that we would give is use iMovie and clip things on your phone where you're just doing small-sided things. So if you don't have any game film, like I included at the bottom of this slide, because I do think it's fairly important, your club coaches and high school coaches have become an even more important role in the recruiting process due to the limitations of live events, using the reference of your coach who can speak to us directly about your leadership skills, your grades, your athletic ability, and your character has been such an important aspect. And then the second suggestion I would make is, if you don't have any film, have a sibling, friend, family member go out and film you doing small-sided individual skills. It might not be relevant for every sport, but for many sports, the small-sided individual skills and drills, we can watch how you move. Are you technically sound? What are your stick skills like, or your ball handling skills? So, it might not seem like it's normal to send that sort of stuff, and in normal, non-COVID times it wouldn't be, but it is really helpful for us right now. And then the last thing I would suggest, just in terms of recruiting, is keep up your schoolwork, keep up your grades. It's one of the things you can control during your process. And with all of the challenges with school districts and in-person learning, it's really confusing and helpful for us to know how you're doing in school. So it's maybe the most important process from an admission standpoint and an athletic standpoint combined. So just as an example, if you're someone who wants to study science at Pace, you really need to make sure that you're doing well in your science classes in high school, right? Because that correlates. And it just makes the entire recruiting process go that much more smoothly if you're on top of your academics. And that's really all I have. I included my contact information. If you have any other questions or anything like that, you can reach me. I'm happy to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. And then now we're going to have a couple questions for our student athletes on the panel. So first, can you both just kind of give a glimpse into what your schedule looks like when you're both in season and out of season?
So a typical day for us in season, we're a fall sport. Normally, we'll wake up around like 7:15, I would say. My coach likes to have practice early normally. So we'll wake up around 7:15, and practice is from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Normally we get down to the field and start warming up at like 7:40, 7:45. And then once practice is over at 10, normally I give myself a bit of time in between my first class and the end of practice. So I'll go to class from 10:35 to 12 p.m. normally. And during our actual season, normally I'll have either a lift session or a film session between like 12:15 and 1:15 in the afternoon. And then after that, I'll normally have like a 4:35 to 6 o'clock class. And then after that, at nighttime, I'll normally have like dinner with my team at Kessel. And then sometimes we go to the library together and we'll like study and work on homework and things like that. And like for the rest of the night, we kind of just have to ourselves to do whatever, like get work done and things like that.
Kind of what our typical day looks like in season is that we practice Monday through Saturday. So we're allowed to do at least 3 double practices a week. So we practice twice a day for 3 times out of the week. And most of our practices happen in the morning from 8 to 10 as a team. And then on our double practices, in between 2 to 4 while we're in season, we kind of practice on more of our specific goals and races that we'll be swimming at conference. We also do have kind of like a lift that starts as early as 6:30 in the morning and goes into 7:30, and then we hop into the pool right after, and that happens on Wednesday, Thursday. And a lot of us like to kind of try to space out our classes. Some of us either have to leave practice about 10-15 minutes early to get changed, head to class that starts at 10, or we space it out to where we don't have any classes until the afternoon. But a lot of us actually do like to go to the library to go study. A bunch of the people on the team are tutors, so usually most of the swim team is actually up there just hanging out with the tutors as well, trying to get work done. And that's kind of like a usual day in life here.
And yeah, so out of season, this is like in the springtime for the field hockey team. We are like less prioritized as a team during our off season. So that means that we'll have kind of odd schedules for our practice times and our lift times. So sometimes like once or twice a week, my team will have a lift session at 6 in the morning, which is always fun to wake up for, but it's kind of nice to wake up that early, to be honest. But we'll normally only practice like 3 to 4 times a week instead of that 5 or 6 day week. And that practice will normally be again from like 8 to 10, or sometimes we'll do a 4 to 6 session in the afternoon. And we have lift 3 days a week in off season compared to, I think it's only 2 days a week during our actual season. And then we don't really meet for film sessions in our off season just because we're not technically competing. When we move into like scrimmaging, that's when we'll start to have occasional film sessions, but it's a lot more laid back, I'd say. We're practicing a few days less and then I'll just have 1 or 2 classes during the day. And yeah, pretty much the same, just less practice time.
And yeah, like, so for swimming for us, our season kind of goes from basically September to beginning of February, sometimes March if we qualify for NCAAs. But off season kind of looks more like we'll probably just have morning practices. We cut out the double practices and maybe a Friday afternoon so we can sleep in on Friday, since a lot of us usually don't have classes on that time. But it's a little bit more laid back. We have at least 2 lifting sessions. They're still from 6:30 to 7:30, but it's more laid back. It's more focused on trying to recreate the skills that we may have lost or touch up and polish them to get ready for the next season.
And then just to give everyone kind of the NCAA rules on athletic activity, when they're in season, so that's usually defined as the season in which ends with their NCAA championship. So for Chloe, that's in the fall. For Coach Malfetta, sport, that's in the spring, and Josh actually spans both semesters. But when they're in season, in their championship season, it's 20 hours a week with 1 required day off. And then when they're in their, it's technically called non-championship season, but it's in their non-traditional season. So for Chloe in the spring, for Coach in the fall, it's 15 hours. They get a 45-day window within that semester that they can do 15 hours a week and 2 days off. Josh doesn't have that same non-traditional season since his season spans 2 semesters. And then all 3 seasons have an 8-hour week segment where they're only allowed to do 8 hours a week with 2 days off. So again, the NCAA does have limitations on the amount of athletic activity that can be done throughout the year. All right, and then the next question that I have is, what's the biggest, I guess, challenge, would you both say, to being a student athlete, and maybe what's also the biggest benefit in your opinions? And start with Chloe.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge I would say I face being a student athlete is just scheduling like my classes around my commitments to like practicing and my game schedules. So like classes that are related to my major, sometimes like I am a global studies major in political science and I'll have to take like model UN or something like that in the spring compared to like not taking it in the fall just because of like how much time I have to do model UN versus like I can't be doing that in season because I'd have to leave for certain events in model UN and I would be missing games. That's the only challenge I have, but other than that, the biggest benefit I would say is having a set group of friends, like right off the bat when I was coming to Pace as an incoming freshman. My entire team was so open to me. I had sisters basically that were just constantly there for me. They were going through the same things and still are. And we all can just understand each other so well because we're all going through the same things every single day. And also just like the mentorship and guidance that I got from all of the upperclassmen as a freshman. We had a large group of seniors when I was an incoming freshman, and that was a little intimidating to be honest at first, but all of those seniors were just incredible to all of us freshmen. They would always be there to help us and guide us through any questions we had about seriously anything. They could take us to the grocery store because they had cars on campus and things like that. And it's really helpful to have that as your first year in college.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the same. I mean, it's kind of like you have a big group of friends that are already right there for you. And it starts like as early as probably like June, July, maybe even August sometimes. I mean, I know at least for me, our freshman year coming in, we already had a group chat together. So like I already knew people and kind of like faces to know and get to know some of the people that were coming into the season. that, I think that's like the best part, is that you already have a solid group of people who are going to be behind you no matter what, and they'll come out to your different club events that you may have going on campus, or just say, hey, we're going to the library, let's all go ahead and study. And I guess the biggest challenge is just getting used to practices and taking 18 credits, or just doing other things here on campus and trying to balance that all out so it all like works out, so like nothing ever fall apart.
Okay, awesome. Thank you both. Real quick, before we go to some questions, I'm just going to show you all our website, just how to navigate it, because some of the questions you guys were asking can be found on the website. So this is our website, paceuathletics.com. Obviously, more information can be found on the teams here, so you can go straight to schedule, roster, stats for all of our sports. Inside Athletics is where our staff directory is. So if you go to staff directory here, here's all of our contact information. So if you're interested in the men's basketball team, you can go over here and look for the head coach's email. Also on Inside Athletics are different department-wide documents, along with our student athlete handbook, and just information on some of our different policies as well. Compliance page, which has compliance information, sports medicine, things like that. Campus recreation is for intramurals. So again, good resource for you to use. This is for fans, so our fan experience guidelines, also known as, I don't know if we're allowed to say tailgating, but that's what that means. We have our Pace team shop as well, so links to different kind of fan type resources. We have a facility page, and then recruits as well. You can go here to access graduation rates, EADA. This is a link to the eligibility center, which I'll go over in a minute. So just different resources for recruits as well. So that's kind of just an overview of what our website looks like. And then on this home page too, you'll have just the most recent press releases. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to put our website, paceuathletics.com, in the chat. Again, that website, anything that you had questions on, you should go to that website. Sometimes I sometimes confuse myself and I have to go on that website and see what the correct information is. But again, that's a central hub of all of our information and pretty much everything that we've gone over today. So thank you all for attending. Thank you to my fellow panelists. Thank you for Liam for helping organizing it. You can't see him, but he's been in the background. But again, hope everyone has a happy and safe holiday season. And again, this will be available as a resource for you on the Pace YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, and have a safe and happy holiday season.